Hi, I'm camz, and I am a bronze Evelynn OTP. I notice a lot of the guides made for Evelynn players don't really understand what it is like to play her in low elo or to be a new player playing the champion. So I made this very simple and in-depth guide of Evelynn for anyone who wants to start playing her or who is just new to the champion. Evelynn runes are pretty straightforward. I run these runes every single game, where I'm gonna go into Electrocute and then Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, and Ultimate Hunter. You can either choose Relentless Hunter or Ultimate Hunter. The difference is that Relentless Hunter is going to give you move speed when you're outside of combat, and then Ultimate Hunter is going to give you ability haste. Then we're going to go into Sorcery, and we're going to use Absolute Focus, which is going to give you, while you're above 70% health, we're going to get 30 AP, which Evelynn wants a lot of AP, and then we're going to choose Gathering Storm, which also gives us AP every 10 minutes. And then we're gonna go Adaptive Force, and then Health Scaling. For items, Evelynn is also really straightforward. Our starting items are going to be a blue jungle pet and a trinket. So I personally prefer the blue pet, but you can also go red. Blue just gives you move. When you're inside bushes, you gain move speed, which I really like. It helps you escape from bad situations sometimes, or it just helps you move faster around the map, which I really like as Evelynn. I wouldn't recommend going green. I've seen some guides where people suggest that you should go green pet in low elo, and I really don't think you should. I think blue and red are much better options. Again, I personally like the blue pet. On your first back, it's going to probably be a full clear, which we'll talk about later. Once you finish that full clear, most likely you can get crab, and then you drop a ward on the dragon pit. That's what I usually do, which I'll show you guys later. Once you finish that first clear, we're gonna have some gold. Depends on whether we gank or not, if we can afford all these items, but I usually buy Dark Seal into boots, and then I may either buy a book, or you can also just buy the control ward if you wanna put a control ward on either Dragon or Herald Pit for grubs, but definitely buy Dark Seal and boots. So Dark Seal, for those of you guys who don't know, has something that is called stacks. The more stacks you have, the stronger and more AP you have, right? So you get stacks by either killing enemy champions or getting an assist on an enemy champion. You can have up to 10 stacks in a Dark Seal. However, here's the catch. If you die, your stacks split in half. So if you have 10 and you die, you will now have 5 stacks. For Evelynn, our core items, we're always going to first build Lich Bane. What Evelynn wants to understand her items is she just wants raw AP. So when you're building this Lich Bane, you want to buy the books, the Hextech Alternator first. This is the first thing that we want to go for. Then we can buy this blue thing. And lastly, we would buy the sword if even. Because this sword only gives us ability haste, you'll have less power than you would if you would buy the other components. So don't ever buy the Sheen. You would rather buy 2 books over the Sheen. I've seen people buy the Sheen all the time. This is just ability haste. We're getting no AP from the Sheen. We want AP as Evelynn. That's literally all we want. Okay, we'll get other things as well from the items, but AP is what we want. Okay, that's enough about Lich Bane. Lich Bane's gonna be our first item. I often build boots before I build Rabadons. Boots are gonna give us magic penetration and move speed. Pretty simple stuff. I'm gonna talk about magic penetration later because I didn't know what that was until like 2 weeks ago, so we're gonna talk about all the stats in a bit. Then we want to buy Rabadon's stat cap, which is pure raw AP. So this is gonna be our third item. So again, our first recall, we buy these 2, maybe a component of Lich Bane, and then we build Lich Bane, and then these 2. It doesn't matter the order of boots or Rabadons. You can pick and choose. Keep in mind that Rabadon is a pretty expensive item, which means that we're going to have to farm a lot for it. And we can farm not just camps, but we can farm enemy champions as well. So keep that in mind. They also give gold. Now, I want to talk about Magi's. If you're fed, you want to buy Magi's. If you're really strong, you want to buy Magi's. But when should you buy Magi's? Well, there's not like a specific timeline. It is a very risky item to buy, especially in low elo where you may be making plays that you die for no reason, like it wasn't even a necessary death. So here's my benchmark. I buy Magi's if I have 6 stacks and I have my 3 completed items. For those of you that don't know, Magi's works similarly to Dark Seal in the case that we'll get stacks for it, up to 25 stacks instead of 10. However, if you do die, you end up losing half of your stacks as well. I like Banshees, I like Void Staff, I think it's good, and then Magi's. So these are my favorite ones. If I'm not fed, I'm not gonna buy Magi's, but let's talk about these 2. So Banshees is essentially if they have a lot of CC, for example, if they have a Lux. So CC is abilities that you can't move when the ability is casted. And it's like, Banshees works like a spell shield. Banshees has 2 components. We have more AP, and then we have this shield, which also has AP and MR. If they're really heavy on CC, I'll build the spell shield first. Otherwise, I'll just build the rod first. And then Void Staff. So Void Staff you would want to build if you have a lot of tankier players on the enemy team, because it has magic penetration, so it's going to help you kill them easier. Most games I'm gonna build Banshees and Void Staff. Then we have a few other items. We have the Sonya's Hourglass, which I don't typically build it with Evelynn. You can if you want to. Then there's Shadow Flame, which also has a lot of AP. Shadow Flame is also a good item, I think. I use it sometimes. It really depends. If they don't have a lot of tankier champions, I'll build Shadow Flame instead of Void Staff. Stuff like that. I don't like Storm Surge, and I don't like Crippleum. So Crippleum is pretty much like the same as Void Staff because they both have the magic penetration. The difference is that Crippleum has less magic penetration and less AP, which is why most champs, when they want magic penetration, will build Crippleum, but with Evelynn, we build Void Staff because we want that raw AP. Most of your games, or most of my games, I build these two as my other items. If Magi's, then if I don't do Magi's, I would sell Dark Seal and maybe do Shadow Flame. Okay, so before we talk about Evelynn's abilities, I wanted to talk about a few things first. As we said, the item Void Staff is going to be building Magic Penetration. So what exactly is Magic Penetration? Magic Penetration is going to help us essentially penetrate the magic resistance that some champions build. Tank characters are going to build magic resist. As you can see, this item has magic resist. It has 50 magic resist. These items also have magic resist, 60 magic resist, 55 magic resist. And whenever you see those items, those magic resist items, it's when we want to build Void Staffs, because Void Staff is going to have the magic penetration. Our boots by default also have magic penetration. This is going to help us reduce the magic resist of the other champion. I wanted to mention this because Evelynn's W also has magic resist. If we fully charm the enemy, then we will have the charm and we will have 35% magic resist. This is helpful if, for example, we're fighting against a Volibear or any tanky character that is building magic resist. We want to fully charm the W before we engage in fight with them, because it's going to give us 35% magic resist. So for Evelynn, we're going to level up our Q first. So we're gonna fully put all our points into Q. We'll do Q, EW. Our Q is the one that we want to fully put the points in after we have all of our basic abilities, of course, and our R, obviously. And so how our Q works is that we're gonna hit first, and then the next 3 swings that we do more damage to the big camp, because it's the camp that we're hitting. So while it also does damage to the small camp, it's gonna do more damage to the target that you first hit, which is why we hit the big camp. So if we're fighting a champion and we hit that champion, if we throw the next 3 Qs into that champion, so we have 3 Qs here, if we throw those to that champion, we're gonna be dealing more damage to him. But if we throw a Q to a champion and then we use our other Qs on another champion, we'll be dealing less damage to this champion than we would to the other champion. For our charm is going to deal, obviously, the magic resist I talk about, and it's also gonna charm the enemy champion. And then it can also charm camps, and at the same time, if we fully charge it, it will do more damage to our camp. So for 3 seconds, actually, you'll deal, while the camp is charmed, you'll deal more damage than you originally would. And lastly, I want to talk about our E. So our E is to close distance. So we close the distance here to here. See how we quickly kind of dashed? We also do damage with our E. And what is important to know about our E is that if we have our R, we're going to do more damage with our E if it is the first ability we use out of our R. So Evelynn's R, as you know, we are in Demon Shade right now. We can't be seen unless someone comes within our radius, or if there's a control ward that can also spot us. But if we're in Charm, you can see how this is glowing and it has something around. It means our passive is active, which means that if I do this first, I'll deal more damage than if I were to Q the camp. If I'm off of Demon Shade, it's not going to be active, as you can see. So what this means is that we want to start, if we get close enough, we can start jungle camps with our E and deal more damage. Or, for example, if we're attacking an enemy target, we can E them first to deal more damage if we're invisible. Another thing to keep in mind is that with our E, we can close distances. If you have to run away as Evelynn, the first thing that we'll have is our movement speed from our blue pet, assuming you bought the blue one, which will mean that you would most likely want to go through bushes, allow you to move faster. Another thing that we can do is charm an enemy and hit it, and then keep walking away, because our charm also slows champions when it's not fully charged. We use our E on a minion to close distance and try to run away. And then obviously you can use your ult. So for our ult, it's important to note, as you can see, first of all, they can see us. We'll have an exclamation point on top of us if they can see us, and they'll have an eye on top of them. When we're about to execute, we'll see a symbol on top of the champion. It varies by skin, but you see a very prominent symbol on top of them. This means that if we are, we're going to kill them if we hit them with our R. Sometimes this is not the case. So if you're playing against a champion like camz, or if they have that little gray shield at the end, often you won't kill them even if they have the execute mark, as well as if they have any sort of healing ability, or if they like simply have like a spell shield or anything of that sort. Now, when it comes to clearing efficiency with Evelynn, always hit the big camp. If I'm doing Krogs, I'm always hitting the big Krog. Always hitting the big one because our Q is going to deal more damage on that big camp. Obviously, we also want to use our E on cooldown to do as much damage and do this as fast as possible. Another thing with the clear that you can do is that you can put 2 points in Q and then W. So how I often do it is that I do Q, E, Q, and then W once I finish all my camp. When it comes to raptors, we also want to hit the big raptor. That is obviously impossible from here. So what I like to do is I get in this bush, and let me turn off quick cast. We can hit the big one if we hit right here. So we would have to hit right here, and then this hits the big camp. As you can see, the big camp has like the purple around them. That means that you hit that one. Okay, now I want to talk about her R a little bit more and how to use her invisibility effectively. You can use it for a lot of things. You can use it to just walk around the map and start killing people, or if you see someone, you can use it to go into the jungle if you don't know they don't have control wards. If you see someone across the map, you can just walk up behind them. I do recommend walking up behind them and charming them if possible. They're gonna walk right into you. The next thing you can do is also steal objectives. So you can literally just walk up to an objective and take it, like I do in this quick clip. And it's really easy to just do that if the enemies are positioned incorrectly. In here, I can just walk up and smite the Drake because I'm invisible and they literally left an open space for me. I know there's also a combo you can do where you use your smite and your ult at the same time. I've just never done it before because I still have 100 ping, but I'll try it out once my ping is lower. The next thing I wanted to talk about is Evelynn playstyle. Typically with Evelynn, you're going to be farming until you're level 6. There are a few exceptions to this. When you do a first clear, you'll obviously be level 4. Then you can make a decision once you're level 4 of whether you want to gank bot lane. And I'm saying bot lane because normally you'll want to pot top lane to bot lane. Most of the time, I'll full clear the first 6 camps, take crab. Most of the time the enemy jungler in low elo goes top side, so they'll take the other crab and I get a free crab. And what we want to do off of this, either take crab and recall immediately and reset back to our grump, or take crab, take the guaranteed kill, reset, and buy the items that I told you to buy, which will be Dark Seal and boots, maybe a component of Lich Bane if it is an amp tone. And after we finish that first recon, we do our camp. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do grump after the first recon, then we're gonna walk to our wolves and do those wolves. And after we do wolves, we have a decision to make. So I recalled, I bought Dark Seal, I bought boots, and I bought a component of Lich Bane, which is not the best component. We want to not build Sheen, as I said, which is the sword. We want to build Hextech or the other blue component. So what we were gonna do is we're gonna do 2 camps here, and now we have a choice to make. We can A, continue clear, or by the time we're here, Drake is gonna be up. So you can either take Drake or continue the clear. So when would you take Drake? I'm not taking Drake right now. I'm starting my Raptors, as you can see, because my mid laner is not here and we have no prio bots and I have no idea where the enemy jungler is. So we're actually just going to do our Raptors. Conditions are present, so if my Fizz is fully pushed up with prio bot lanes and I know that the enemy jungler might be ganking top, then I'm doing this dragon. Even though I'm not level 6, I'm still making that play on the map. And we'll continue farming until we're level 6. When you're level 6, you don't have to be forced to make plays, so you don't have to force any plays. But what you can do is you can make more plays around the map. You can be more present around the map, but you still want to be farming because we still don't have Lich Bane. Have Lich Bane, then we really start getting more and more active. Evelynn is an assassin. We want to build those Dark Seal stacks, so we want to make sure that we are getting kills. Okay, kills are very important in Evelynn because they give you more AP. Those are your 2 power spikes with Evelynn. Getting level 6 because you gain your passive. First item, which is going to be Lich Bane. If you have Lich Bane, then you really start getting active. Then you really start fighting for objectives. At first, if you have to give up a dragon because you're not level 6 and you can't contest it, your team is not strong enough, give it up. It's okay to give up the first dragon, okay? But once you're level 6, once you have that first item, really start fighting for objectives, you really start making plays around the map. Evelynn, I would say early game is predominantly farming and getting those 2 power spikes. We want to get level 6, we want to get our item. To get our 2 items, that's when mid game begins. We want to start going more for kills, playing a lot more aggressively. We need to trust our damage. We know we have damage. In the mid game, we're gonna be doing that and trying to get objectives a lot, fighting really hard for those objectives. Another thing that I know a lot of people in low elo don't know is that a tower is also an objective, right? So we want to get turrets. We really want to get turrets, okay? I'm gonna talk about if we're behind. So what do we do if we're behind on Evelynn? We're getting stomped on 3 lanes. What should we do? Just farm. Literally just farm. Try to play around the one teammate that you know is not doing that bad or may be able to win. Just farm, okay? Like, try to get your items, try to get stronger, try to get more AP. If you get more AP with Evelynn, there will be a point where you'll be useful again because you'll be doing a lot of damage. I hope this helped, and thank you guys so much for watching. If this helped, please make sure to like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments down below, and I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability.